It's a new year with a new set of movies to be excited about. So here are my picks for my most anticipated movies of 2026. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Share your picks for your most anticipated movies of 2026. In particular, anything that's a little bit smaller. Like we all know Avengers Doomsday is coming up, but those smaller ones that you can put on my radar or someone else's radar, let me know about them down below in the comment section. Also, there's a companion video to this over on my Patreon page with 11 more of my most anticipated movies of 2026. You might watch this video and go, why aren't you excited about this one? Where's this movie? Where's this movie? Well, I'm excited for it. There's just a lot of movies I'm excited for. So some of those are in the other video over on Patreon. Join at any level to unlock that video, as well as hundreds of other videos, as well as all of my weekly exclusive live streams. If you sign up for an new annual membership right now using code SEAN2026, you get 26% off your annual subscription to Patreon. That's like at the lowest tier, that's $17, I believe, and you can get all of the exclusive live streams, all of the exclusive videos in 2026. The information is down below. I do 3 weekly live streams, a Q&A, a box office show, reaction time. If you like my channel, want to support it, consider doing all that fun stuff down there. First category of movies I want to talk about here, my first 5 picks. These are movies that aren't quite as high profile, like when you got a movie from Nolan, Spielberg, Marvel, DC. That's the big flashy high profile stuff that we all already know are coming out. There's some other things that I'm excited about that aren't quite as high profile. Here's 5 movies in that category. They Will Kill You. This is a movie I hadn't heard of until a couple days ago when the trailer dropped. And premise is something reminiscent of Ready or Not, but like cranked out on Red Bull and cocaine, taking the premise of someone trapped in a building being hunted by other people and going to this ultra violent, crazy place with it. It's got Zazie Beetz in it. It's got Heather Graham in it, Tom Felton, Patricia Arquette. It just seemed like my kind of movie with just how bonkers, ultra-violent it is and the amount of carnage candy that it just might be delivering for us. How to Make a Killing. This is an A24 dark comedy thriller starring my close personal friend that I've spoken to for 30 seconds, Glenn Powell, where essentially he's a member of this ultra-rich family and they've kind of disowned him, and he's tried to make his way through as many relatives as possible in order to get his cut of the money. The script for it was first written as a spec script over a decade ago, and it was on the Blacklist, a list of the best unproduced scripts in Hollywood. Finally, they have made a film out of it, and so just kind of like one of these little thrillers with a great cast. Margaret Qualley's in there, Ed Harris is in there, some other Topher Grace is in there. So one of these nice little thrillers that just seems like my kind of thing. Send Help, the latest film from Sam Raimi, and essentially it stars Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien, where Dylan O'Brien is the new head of a company, and Rachel McAdams has been working there a long time, trying to make her way up the ladder, and he is just like the boss from hell, and then they end up getting stranded on an island where he's kind of useless, and it turns out she's quite good at survival type things. So suddenly the power dynamic shifts. So it's meant to be kind of this psychological horror film with a dark sense of humor. And it's Raimi kind of returning to horror, to thrillers, stuff that, you know, he's one of the best in that genre. And he hasn't done one since Drag Me to Hell over 15 years ago. Love Rachel McAdams, love Sam Raimi, big fan of Dylan O'Brien. So for me, this is one of those movies that just like very excited. Like, I don't know if I'll love the movie. I've just really liked the movie, but a movie I'm very excited that it's coming out. Digger. I know absolutely nothing about the plot of this movie. I assume it is about someone who digs, and I'm assuming the person who digs is Tom Cruise, and it is directed by Alejandro Inarritu. So this is Tom Cruise's first non-franchise movie in 9 years. Last one he did was in 2017, American Made, and since then he's only done Mission Impossible and Top Gun movies. So this is kind of him returning to other roles outside of leaning into proven characters and franchises, specifically in the action space. and he's in his 60s now. We're trying to figure out what is his final legacy beyond being the stuntman. A lot of people forget, in the 80s and 90s, Tom Cruise was just collecting projects with top directors. Rob Reiner, Martin Scorsese, Paul Thomas Anderson, Stanley Kubrick. Like, he was in these big dramatic roles and would every few years do the big franchise tentpole movie. And then over the last 20 years, he's kind of just primarily focused on the big tentpole stuff. But this is a guy that the best directors on the planet were Oliver Stone, were casting him left and right in their projects for 20 years. And so now we're getting the guy that did The Revenant, Birdman, partnering up with Tom Cruise in his post-Mission Impossible career trajectory. Don't know anything about what this movie is, but I want to see what they were cooking. Last one in this section, Violent Night 2. Now, this is a franchise movie because it is Violent Night 2, but compared to, Marvel, DC, Star Wars, comparatively speaking, this is not nearly as high profile. And as someone that loves mid-budget action movies, and as someone that had Violent Night in my top 10 movies of, 2022 or 2023, whatever year it was it came out, this is a film I'm very excited for. I just thought the formula of the first one with Santa Claus doing Die Hard with David Harbour as Santa Claus, absolutely movie tailor-made for me. And having more adventures with Santa Claus, I want to see him kill more terrorists. This will be hopefully, will be a wonderful Christmas present for me in 2026. I have so many subscriptions, streaming services, YouTube services, software services. It adds up real fast. There's so many times that I've signed up for some subscription, then completely forgot about it and kept paying for it when I wasn't using it. And that's where Rocket Money is very helpful. It's one of those tools that helps me get a rein of where my money's going and control of my finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Whenever I first started using Rocket Money, I realized that I had two different subscriptions to one of the streaming services. Rocket Money allows you to see all of your recurring subscriptions in one place. And it has the ability to cancel subscriptions within the app with only a few taps, saving time and avoiding charges. Likewise, the Rocket Money dashboard consolidates checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard to give users a clear view of their financial picture. It's a new year. It's a great time to try and get a grip on your finances, and Rocket Money can help you do that. Join at rocketmoney.com/Chandler. That's rocketmoney.com/Chandler. rocketmoney.com/Chandler. All right, now for my top 10, kicking things off, Avengers Doomsday. I have been very vocal about my concerns about Avengers Doomsday, about the casting of Robert Downey Jr. feeling desperate, disappointment that they never gave the new characters of Phase 4 and 5 their own standalone Avengers movie before we did kind of this legacy sequel to Endgame with everybody coming back. I have concerns about the fact that it feels like key-jangling the movie of, instead of selling us on a plot that's super compelling, they did a 4-hour live stream of chairs just being like, look who's in the movie, which is not, in my mind, the most satisfying, like deeply satisfying, that's very superficially intriguing rather than compelling on a deeper level way to promote a movie. All of that said, of course I'm excited for this movie. I want to be horribly wrong. I want to, who has the best track record, in my mind, who has the best track record as writers, directors for the MCU, or at least directors, would be the Russos. They're directing this movie. Who has the best, not the best track because they have some misses, who have written a whole bunch of the best movies in the MCU. The writers of this movie. So you've got an amazing team putting this thing together. There's a lot of borrowed trust right there, and the X-Men teaser dropped just yesterday. Did I get childhood nostalgia goosebumps? Did I get giddy like, whoo? Absolutely I did. I'm lying if I try to claim I'm not excited. Do I have concerns? Do I see red flags? Is there a whole bunch of stuff where I go, I wish they would have done this. Why didn't they do that? Do I have... Absolutely. At the same time, of course, I'm going to be there very excited to see all these characters, see all my toys being mashed together on the big screen. I hope they've cooked up a story that lives up to the cast they've assembled. I hope they find a way to tell a compelling story so it's not just cameos the movie or whatever. But of course I'm excited for it. Number 9, Clayface, one of the 2 DCU movies we are getting this year. And the reason this one is so interesting to me is because I have no idea what this movie is going to be. But it's from a script from Mike Flanagan, one of the top horror writer-directors of the last 15 years. And with the way James Gunn is trying to do things is that he's fast-tracking the scripts that he loves, and if a script's not working, he throws it on the back burner. And Mike Flanagan came in with a script. This was not one of the projects announced during their original slate. Mike Flanagan shows up with a script that he's really excited about. And James Gunn went, yep, that's a good one. That's movie number 3. Fast-tracked around all these other projects that had been announced. I hear that and I go, oh, that's interesting. And also it's a movie that whatever it is, it by its nature has to be incredibly different from most comic book, most superhero movies, because it's about Clayface. Throw in the fact that it is from Mike Flanagan, I'm very interested just to figure out what this thing is. And that I don't know what it's going to be. That's specifically what's exciting about it. One more thing, I didn't know about this until just looking. It's from the director of, I guess, I was going to say last year's Speak No Evil, but last year's 2025 and Speak No Evil came out in 2024. So 2 years ago's Speak No Evil, I actually really enjoyed that movie. And specifically the tonal balance of the horror, the thrills with the comedy. I don't know if that's what they're going for with this movie, but the last movie I saw from him was a big win. So combining Mike Flanagan writing and ideas with that guy's kind of tonal work, man, whatever it is, I want to see it. Number 8, Dune Part 3. At least that is the current title. It is based off Dune Messiah, so maybe the title will change to Dune Messiah, but everything where I look it up on the internet says Dune Part 3 for the moment. I was a massive fan of Dune 1. I liked Dune Part 2 even more, and Dune Part 2 made me enjoy Dune Part 1 even more. Denis Villeneuve is one of the top working directors right now that just builds absolutely believable worlds. And with the success of the last 2 films, he's only going to have more freedom to kind of go into the bizarro world of Dune. The reason it's a little bit lower on this list is somewhat from, I have not read Dune Messiah, I haven't read Dune either, but the impression I've gotten is it goes into maybe some weirder directions that maybe on some story levels, I'm not expecting to like it as much as I enjoyed the first 2 parts, based on just the buzz. Always would love to be wrong about something like that. It's only for the best if I like it even more than the previous 2 ones. Just a couple of things maybe go, okay, I'm just trying to temper my expectations based off what I've heard about Dune Messiah just a little bit, but in Denis I trust. Next up, Project Hail Mary. I do not know what this movie is about. They've dropped a couple trailers. I have not watched either trailer for this movie. I believe it's sci-fi, something in space. And this movie was, from the moment I went out to make this list, this movie was a lock. The reason I have not watched the trailers is because I am so excited to see this movie. I don't want anything spoiled, and my wife, who has read the book, told me the trailer shows too much. So I was like, I guess I'm just not going to watch any trailers for this movie to go in as fresh as possible. It is based off of a book from the author who did The Martian, which The Martian is like a fantastic sci-fi movie. Just like so good, so smart. And all that goes back to the original book. The script is from Drew Goddard, who has a long history of being a part of projects I've really enjoyed, in particular doing Daredevil, but a bunch of other stuff too. And it's directed by Lord and Miller, 2 of the most invigorating, refreshing, interesting directors of the last 15 years that just inject every project they're a part of with so much energy, creativity. And after a bunch of years of producing a bunch of things that have been awesome, they're returning to directing live action, and this is what they chose. Oh yeah, and stars some guy named Ryan Gosling, who has a really good track record of picking good projects to be a part of that, even the ones that I'm not as crazy about, they're still really interesting projects. Everything about this screams, I cannot wait to see it, though I have no idea what it's about. It's a new year. That means New Year's resolutions, new goals, new ambitions. But just because you have big plans doesn't mean you suddenly have more time. That's where Factor can help with fully prepared meals designed by dietitians, crafted by chefs, so you can eat well without the shopping or cooking. When it comes to Factor, you're dealing with quality, functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. Options include high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and ready-to-eat salads. Plus, they have the new Muscle Pro collection that supports strength and recovery. There's tons of variety with 100 rotating weekly meal options. Just got back from the gym. We've got queso fundido and ground beef and cauliflower rice, all with over 40 grams of protein. Factor is always fresh, never frozen, ready in about 2 minutes, no prep, no stress. I've been using Factor for several years now, and you should too. Head to factormeals.com/SeanChandler50 off and use code SeanChandler50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthy eating easy with Factor. Number 6, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Of course, I love Spider-Man. Thoroughly enjoyed Tom Holland in the role. And one of the things that I really respect about this project is that they took their time. They're coming off of by far the most successful Spider-Man movie of all time. No Way Home, grand slam for Spider-Man movies. And Spider-Man movies have always been big hits, and this one takes it to this whole other level. People were more excited than ever about Spider-Man, and they didn't just fast-track a sequel. I believe this is the longest gap between Spider-Man movies that we've ever had. I could be wrong, but it's very close to it. And they're doing that at a point in time where they're on top of the world. They're like, let's take the time to decide what we want to do, to honor the character, and not just milk this thing, not just rush it out, to do it right. I love that. Adding to that, it's directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who, for probably most of you guys, most famous for doing Shang-Chi, the MCU film. And then he was going to be the person that was going to do Avengers Kang Dynasty. And then, of course, that project imploded and turned into, let's bring back the Endgame team to do it. But when they were going to do someone new, the person they trusted was him, and his consolation prize for, all right, we're going to take away Avengers from you. You're going to do the follow-up to Spider-Man No Way Home, which, like, if you lose Avengers, that's a really nice consolation prize. I would say that's a better consolation. That's probably a better project to get, because an Avengers movie is just Avengers the movie, or it's just Marvel the movie, where you can actually make a Spider-Man movie out of a Spider-Man movie. I've been saying this ever since before he did Shang-Chi. Destin Daniel Cretton is a director who makes movies that are emotionally on my wavelength. That I did one called The Glass Castle in the very early years of my channel that it was in my top 10 movies of the year, just like a serious a drama that just, like, for reasons very personal, like connected with the story and on a very deep level. And so him bringing his love for practical effects, nerdy stuff, with kind of telling stories on my wavelength, love it. Punisher's in the movie. Love Punisher. Love John Bernthal as the Punisher. I don't know how he's going to blend with this Spider-Man. I don't know how that works. But do I want to see it? Am I excited to see it? Absolutely. I mean, I've got Punisher right here on my table, ready to go to play with him at any point in time during the day. But of course, I cannot wait to see the new Spider-Man movie. All these things considered. Bringing us into the top 5, Resident Evil. The fact that a Resident Evil movie is in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the year is kind of insane because this is a franchise with an incredibly spotty track record and years 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 of disappointment. So the fact that it made it on this list means there's something so much more, so exciting about this project that 20 years of skepticism around this franchise is completely abandoned in what is that factor that can defeat so much disappointment? The writer-director, Zach Krieger. The guy that did Weapons, wrote and directed Weapons, one of the most celebrated horror movies of the year, that is already winning awards. I was at Critics' Choice Awards. What day is today? 3 days ago. And it won Critics' Choice Awards. Like, it's winning, like, actual prestige awards. That's the caliber of this guy. Just one of the most interesting voices in horror right now. What did he want to do as his follow-up to Barbarian and Weapons? Resident Evil. I said this in my coverage of my favorite movies of last year, talking about Weapons. I said, whatever he does next immediately is one of my most anticipated of that year. He chose Resident Evil. Therefore, it's one of my most anticipated of 2026. Don't care anything about anything else. Whatever he does, I'm interested in at this point in time. And wouldn't it be nice if we finally got a Resident Evil movie that wasn't disappointing or only worked on schlock factor? It'd be incredible. Fingers crossed he's the guy to do it. The Adventures of Cliff Booth. They announced this project on April 1st. I was utterly convinced it was an April Fool's joke until April 2nd. All the trades were still running stories that Quentin Tarantino had written a Cliff Booth spinoff from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and David Fincher was going to direct it. I absolutely did not believe that until the next day. Why you would choose to announce that on April Fool's Day, I have absolutely no idea. But when I was like, wait, this is real? Sign me up. I am all on board with this. I really enjoyed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm a massive fan of Quentin Tarantino and David Fincher. Few years back, we do these 31 on 31s in the Autop stream, where we do 31 on October 31st. We rank 31 movies. One time we did one called The Big Three. The three big directors. It was Christopher Nolan, Tarantino, and David Fincher. Two of the three are partnering up to do a movie this year. Of course, I cannot wait to see that film. There is actually quite a long history, not a long history. There is a history of multiple different projects that Quentin Tarantino wrote and other people directed. And Natural Born Killers, True Romance, From Dusk Till Dawn. And so it's not like this is like the first time it's ever happened. And it's a flavor of maybe what the rest of Quentin Tarantino's career might look like, as he's only planning on directing one more movie. I just love that this is a thing. I can't wait to see it. And how do their two different styles, worldviews, and everything merge together? I'm so on board. Please put it in the theater, Netflix. Real quick, before I give you my top three, remember to join me down below in the comments section. Share your picks for your most anticipated movies of 2026. Remember, there is a companion video to this when you're like, where's this movie? Where's this movie? Where's this movie? Why aren't you excited for this movie? I am. There's just a lot of movies that I'm excited for, and I wanted to make sure I could highlight some of those smaller things, so some of the bigger stuff I intentionally put in the other video because you already know about it. And I wanted to put a few smaller things on your radar that I'm excited about. But yeah, if you know of something smaller, though, that I missed, let me know about it down below, because I want to get the small stuff on my radar and put it on other people's radar, too. In third place, Godzilla Minus Zero. This is the sequel to Godzilla Minus One, a movie I absolutely adored. I went into it just kind of like, okay, new Godzilla movie that's, from Japan. I'm just trying to check out different things. I had very modest expectations of how much I would enjoy the movie. And it was so unbelievably good. And as much as it's a Godzilla movie, it's a story about post-World War II Japan rebuilding itself, finding its identity after a war that left them embarrassed, individuals filled with shame. And while being like, it's a monster movie. And it is so emotionally resonant, so thought-provoking, so many great little moments. Just a wonderful, wonderful film. So whatever this second one is, I hope they can continue to capture the humanity that was on display in the first film. Our runner-up, Disclosure Day. This is Steven Spielberg returning to like classic Steven Spielberg genres. And what I mean by that is that over the last decade or so, he's made a bunch of movies that I think have been pretty great. He's made a number of like awesome movies, West Side Story, Fabelmans. But when you think of like classic Steven Spielberg films, like E.T., War of the Worlds, that sci-fi, Aliens, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like there's this history of making these alien movies, even in different genres, different spaces, and it's him returning to that. And in a way that feels like you're kind of like not quite, it's kind of pulling from all of the previous things he's done with its own spin to it. And so Steven Spielberg is my favorite director of all time. And this is the first Steven Spielberg movie in 20 years, 15 years that feels like classic Spielberg. Once again, that's not to say that some of these other movies weren't great. Loved Fabelmans. Actually loved West Side Story too. But this is classic Spielberg, returning to that stuff that made me love him. And so absolutely cannot wait to see this movie. And coming in at number one, kind of course, The Odyssey. If Steven Spielberg is my favorite director of all time, Christopher Nolan is my favorite director of right now. That he just doesn't miss, in my mind. Even his weaker projects, I still think have so much value to offer in how interesting the concept is, doing something different. And maybe the execution couldn't quite live up to the ambition of the project, but they're always interesting. They always have something unique to offer. I love his perspective, the way that he brings in intelligence to his project while being still mainstream and accessible, whether you're doing movies playing around with dreams, superhero movies, magician movies, backwards movies, time movies, or biopics about World War II science. He always has such a great perspective and unique voice in how he tells his stories. And coming off, he's on top of the world. That he made Oppenheimer, a 3-hour movie about science and Senate hearings, make just shy of $1 billion and won all of the awards. He is on top of the world. And what does he decide to do? He's going to adapt the backbone of Western literature. There's the Bible, and then there's Homer. He is adapting Homer. The thing that, they did the Iliad kind of with Troy. No one has dared truly tackle the Odyssey. And the top working director right now, at the top of his game, was like, what am I going to do? I'm going to take on that challenge. We're doing the Odyssey. The cast is incredible. The trailer looks amazing, just massive, huge. And the biggest director of our time tackles the biggest epic of Western antiquity. Just that right there should put it on everybody's top 10 most anticipated to see what this thing is going to be. Hopefully it lives up to it, and if anyone can do justice to the Odyssey, it's Christopher Nolan. He's got all the resources, an incredible cast. Man, what a choice. What a bold move. That, without question, no debate. There was no kind of back and forth in my mind. Easiest pick on the entire list. Well, of course, The Odyssey is my most anticipated movie of 2026. These aren't the only movies I'm excited about in 2026. There's a companion video over on Patreon with 11 more of my most anticipated movies of 2026. Use that promo code down below in the description to get 26% off a new annual membership. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV too much in 2026.